Right, so I've got a really cool product to unbox and review today. There's nothing on the box that suggests what the product is, other than that it's from Thermalright. But if you have read the title, you will know that it is the Thermalright Shaman GPU cooler, which could well be the king of air coolers, as a lot of reviews are saying that. It's getting extremely good temperatures on GPUs, so I'm looking forward to testing it. So I'll unbox the accessories first, get them out of the way. So we basically have thermal compound, we've got a lot of VRAM heat sinks, the fan mounting clips and back plates, etc., screws, everything in there. One thing to note is that the VRAM heat sinks have pre-applied thermal pads, which makes it a lot easier. So that is really it for accessories. So if we get onto the product, so first of all we have the Thermalright fan. This is a pretty good fan from what I've heard. It is a 140mm fan, but because it uses a round frame, it fits into 120mm hole spacings. So on this cooler you can use 120mm fans as well if you wish, but I would recommend using this because it is a good fan. Right, so here we have the actual heatsink, and it's a very large heatsink with 8 heat pipes. It's a lot of heat pipes. We've got a very shiny base, you can see camera in there clearly. It's quite a large contact area, larger than I expected, but the mirror finish should mean that there's very good contacts, and I'm expecting good results from this. So I also have the, over here, this is the Thermalright HR03, which is an older cooler by Thermalright. This has 5 heat pipes? 6, sorry. And this was an excellent cooler, but sadly it doesn't fit newer cards like the Shaman does. So if we compare the actual size of the heat sinks, you can see that the Shaman is like double the size, and it's about the same thickness. Right, so I'm going to be using Arctic Cooling MX4 thermal paste on this cooler today, but Thermalright do include the Chill Factor 3 thermal paste, which is also a pretty decent thermal paste as well. So if you don't, I prefer using this just because I've used it on many other things and it's worked really well, but they do include some high quality thermal compound in it, so that's a really nice thing. A lot of coolers just include cheap generic compound, which is pretty rubbish, so it's really nice that Thermalright have included that. So another interesting thing I found is that you get these little rubber strips which you put on the underside of the heatsink underneath the fan, which is supposed to dampen vibration, which is a really nice thing that they've included. Alright, so I'm going to quickly show you how to install the cooler. So today I will be putting it on a 560 Ti, which is a newer card. And another thing I'll just show you before is that this has a rectangular contact area. A lot of other coolers that I've seen have a square contact area, but if you notice, the 560 Ti does have a rectangular contact area, which is really nice. So this cooler will cover the entire contact area, which is one thing that I really like about this product. So onto installation. The first step, you will need to remove the stock cooler using, just unscrew all the screws. It'll be different depending on what card you're doing. And the next step is to clean the GPU service, which I have already pretty much done. So you can use rubbing alcohol, or what I have here is Arctic Clean from Arctic Cooling. You'll also need to clean the memory heat sinks using the same method, or you can just apply a little bit of the cleaner just to the cloth and just rub the memory heat sinks. Right, so once you've cleaned the card up, you need to apply the VRM heat sinks. There are different sizes. There's these standard size, there's low profile ones as well, and there's also these slightly longer ones. So you will need to cover all these GPU chips along here and down this side and this one here. You'll also need to cover these smaller ones here and these ones here, yeah. And that's about it on this card. Obviously different cards do have different configurations, maybe have more memory chips, so you'll need to look at your individual card and work out where they need to go. Right, so you'll then need to install the 4 screws on here, and there's a handy diagram which tells you where the screws go on each different card. So you will then need to apply the thermal paste to the GPU. It does say apply it to both the GPU and the cooler, but I would recommend just applying it to one of the surfaces, because otherwise you'll end up with too much. So I'm going to be using the cross method, which I'll show you. So that's the cross method done roughly, but it does mean that it will spread out a little bit better when you do it that way. Cover the entire surface when you put the cooler on. Right, so now I need to put the GPU cooler on. So you need to make sure that the heat pipes are facing towards the back plate and ensure that you get it on evenly. And as I press it on, it should spread out the thermal compound. Give it a little twist just to make sure the compound spreads, and then flip it over, because we now need to put the back plate on. We now just need to install the clips, and there are some handy little holes on the side which they just slot into, and you can then just put the fan on and the cooler is complete. So there is the fully assembled cooler. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like in the system, it will fit in fairly smallish cases. I have here a Cooler Master CM690, and the side panel does fit on with about 1 inch of space to spare, but anything smaller in this case it probably won't fit. But as you can see, it does stick out by about 3 inches from the edge of the card, so it is a pretty large cooler. And you just see there should be a good amount of airflow from the fan over the RAM heatsinks as well, so hopefully we should be getting good temperatures with this. Right, so here's just a quick test of the stock cooler. So just to show you what I've got it at, I've got it at 900 MHz on the core and 1800 on the shader, so a pretty decent overclock. And temperature wise, we're up to 72 degrees after just a few minutes of running this stress test, and the fan speed is at 90%, and it is pretty loud. I don't know if you can hear it. For me, I'll put the camera a bit closer, but the sound from that is very loud. I can even clearly hear it through my headphones even, so it shows that stock coolers are not very good for overclocking. Right, so with the Thermalright Shaman we are getting a idle temperature of around 26-27 degrees, which is pretty amazing. The stock cooler was idling about 35 degrees, so that's a 10 degree difference already just on the idle temperature. Right, so this is the first test with the fan at 1000 RPM, which is near enough silent. We're running the benchmark for a bit and the temperature seems to have settled around 64 degrees. It's not really gone up above that. It's gone to 65 for a second there, but it is very slowly going up, but not much at all. But considering that the fan is pretty much silent, that temperature is very good. Right, so this is the final test. I have the fan set to 1200 RPM, although it does go up to 1300 RPM, but I found here that even at 1200 RPM the temperatures are peaking at 62 degrees, which is excellent considering this is a high-end card and it's got a decent overclock on it. Another quick stress test, this time with Thermalright. The temperature is peaking around 62-63 degrees. It's not really going any higher than that. It's been running for quite a while. We've got the same overclock settings, and the delta temperature is about 36, to give you an idea. So room temperature is 26 degrees, that gives us roughly 36 degrees delta. So brilliant temperatures. Right, so another little thing that I actually found out later was that the end of the card here was getting extremely hot. If you can see under here where the voltage caps are, it was getting very hot to the point where if I put my finger on it, it would actually burn my finger nearly. So I've had to put a fan here, an old fan that I found, blowing air just over the end of the card to keep these voltage caps cool. It's not really a fault of the cooler. There isn't enough, because the cooler is sort of short and stubby, if you put it that way, but it doesn't cover the entire length of the card, so there isn't brilliant airflow over this end in particular. But as you can see, where most of the memory chips are along here, there is good airflow directly from the fan. So obviously it will depend on what card you're using, how much it sticks out from the end of the cooler, and obviously this card's overclocked, so there's more voltage going through the voltage cap, so they're going to get hotter. So obviously it depends on your circumstances, but still I think this is a brilliant cooler and you should buy it. So thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you loved it, please subscribe.